There is a power that moves mountains, a force that defies logic, a divine presence that transforms the unseen into reality. It is not found in struggle, nor in worry, nor in the restless pursuit of solutions. It is discovered in surrender. The moment you release your grip on the problem, the answer emerges. The secret is simple. Give it to God, and He will do the impossible for you. You have been conditioned to believe that effort alone produces results, that worry is necessary to prove your concern, that fear is the price of responsibility. But what if the very act of worrying is blocking your blessing? What if the struggle is not proof of your faith, but proof of your doubt? For the one who truly trusts in God has no need to wrestle with what is already finished in the divine mind. Do not beg for what is already yours. You are not pleading with a reluctant God. He is not withholding blessings until you have suffered enough. He has already given, already answered, already made a way. It is not your striving that brings forth the impossible. It is your unwavering trust in His unseen hand. To believe in God is to believe that He is working beyond the veil of physical reality, aligning all things according to His perfect will. Close your eyes for a moment and see beyond the visible. Feel the weight lift from your shoulders as you release the burden into His hands. Can you sense the shift? That is the moment faith takes hold. That is the moment impossibility begins to crumble. For what is impossible to man is not impossible to God. If you knew without a doubt that the answer was already on its way, would you still worry? If you could see the finished work, would you still fear? The unseen is more real than the seen. The invisible forces of God are at work even now, orchestrating miracles beyond your understanding. But you must allow it. You must step aside and let God be God. The greatest faith is not in effort, but in rest. Resting in the absolute knowing that He is in control, resting in the certainty that He has never failed and will never fail. Your doubts cannot change His plan. Your worries cannot delay His promises. The only thing that can keep you from your blessing is your refusal to let go. Lift your heart in gratitude, not anxiety. Walk as if the miracle has already occurred. Speak as if the promise has already been fulfilled. Let your mind dwell only on the goodness of God, and you will see the impossible bow before you. The secret is not in trying, it is in trusting. The moment you truly surrender, the power of heaven moves in ways beyond your comprehension. Give it to God, and He will do what no man can do. There is a sacred law and unshakable truth that governs all things. It is not dependent on human logic, nor is it swayed by the conditions of this world. It is the divine principle of faith, the understanding that what you seek is already yours in the unseen. The secret is not in effort, not in pleading, not in exhausting yourself with worry. The secret is in surrender. Give it to God, and He will do the impossible for you. You have spent too much time wrestling with what should be released, holding tightly to burdens that were never meant for you to carry. You analyze, you strategize, you try to force the outcome. But have you ever noticed that the more you struggle, the more impossible things seem? The weight of worry does not move the mountain, it builds another one. The chains of fear do not bring solutions, they tighten around you, and all along the answer has been waiting, just beyond the walls of your resistance. When you finally release it into the hands of God, when you step back and allow divine power to flow unrestrained, that is when the impossible becomes possible. That is when doors you never saw before begin to open. That is when paths are cleared, opportunities appear, and miracles unfold. Not because you worked harder, not because you figured it all out, but because you trusted in the one who already knows the way. Faith is not about waiting to see before believing. It is about believing before you see. It is walking in the assurance that God is already working behind the scenes, shifting things in your favor, preparing the way where there seems to be none. Your job is not to micromanage His divine process. Your job is to rest in the certainty of His promise, to let go and let God move in ways that human reasoning cannot comprehend. What is it that burdens your heart today? What is the thing that keeps you awake at night? The weight you carry in silence, the problem that feels unsolvable. Do you not know that God is already aware? Do you not see that He has already gone before you? If you truly understood that the answer exists in the realm of the unseen, would you still doubt? If you truly believe that God has never failed and will never fail, would you still fear? You do not need to chase after what is already yours. The blessings of God are not earned through struggle, they are received through faith. The moment you let go of the need to control, the moment you step into absolute trust, the moment you declare that it is done, even before it manifests, that is the moment the impossible begins to bow before you. Think of the birds in the sky. They do not toil, they do not worry about tomorrow, and yet they are provided for. The flowers of the field do not strain to bloom, and yet they are clothed in beauty beyond compare. If God provides for them so effortlessly, how much more will He provide for you? If He takes care of the smallest details of creation, do you not think He has already taken care of your need? The only thing standing between you and the manifestation of His power is your own resistance, your own unwillingness to surrender. You have spent too much time in fear, too much time in hesitation, too much time in the prison of doubt. But you were never meant to live that way. You were created to walk in divine authority, to move through life with the certainty that all things are working together for your good. Every delay is divine timing. Every closed door is protection. Every detour is leading you to something greater than you imagined. When you release your grip on worry, when you stop asking how and simply trust that it is already done, you will witness the impossible unfold before your eyes. Healing that seemed unattainable will flow into your life. Provisions that seemed out of reach will find their way to you. Relationships will be restored. Paths will be made straight, and what once seemed like an obstacle will become a testimony of God's power. But you must be willing to release it. You must be willing to step back and allow divine power to do what human effort cannot. You must be willing to declare, even in the midst of uncertainty, that it is finished, that it is already done. For God is not waiting for you to beg Him. He is waiting for you to believe Him. When you pray, do not pray from a place of desperation. Pray from a place of knowing. Do not speak as though you are trying to convince God to move on your behalf. Speak as though you are thanking Him for what is already in motion. Speak as though you are standing in the reality of the miracle before it even appears. Because faith is not about hoping something might happen. Faith is the conviction that it already has. The moment you shift from worry to trust, from doubt to certainty, you align yourself with the divine flow of God's power. You step into the realm where the impossible is made possible. You walk in a reality where obstacles are no longer barriers, but stepping stones. You no longer fight battles that have already been won. You no longer struggle for what is already secured. Look back on your life. How many times has God come through for you? How many situations did you think would break you, yet you are still standing? How many moments did you believe there was no way out, yet He made a way? If He has never failed you before, why would He fail you now? If He has proven time and time again that He is faithful, why do you still question? It is not for you to figure out how. It is not for you to stress over the details. It is simply for you to believe, to step into the knowing that He who promised is faithful, that He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion, that He who spoke the world into existence is more than capable of handling the concerns of your life. You have nothing to lose by surrendering, but everything to gain. You have carried this burden long enough. You have wrestled with fear for too long. Release it now. Release it fully. Not halfway, not with one foot still in doubt, but completely. Let it go and do not take it back. Give it to God and never again wonder if He is working. For the moment you release it, the moment you step into the certainty of faith, The moment you declare that it is done, you will see the impossible bow before you. The mountain will move. The chains will break. The way will be made. Not by your effort, not by your worry, but by the power of the one who holds all things in his hands. Give it to God. Trust without hesitation. Walk as though the promise is already fulfilled. Speak as though the answer is already here. For the secret is not in striving. The secret is in surrender. And when you surrender fully, you will see that what once seemed impossible has already been done. There is a divine order to life, an unseen force that governs all things. It is not chaos, nor is it random. It is precise, intentional, and beyond human comprehension. Every event, every moment, every challenge is unfolding exactly as it should. But when you allow worry to take root, when you grip onto the illusion of control, you step out of alignment with that divine order. You fight battles that are not yours to fight. You try to force what was meant to flow. You stand in the way of the very blessing that is seeking you. Surrender is not weakness, it is power. It is the quiet confidence of one who knows that God has already worked it out. It is the unwavering trust that does not require proof to believe. It is the certainty that even in silence, even when nothing appears to be happening, everything is happening. The moment you release your need to figure it all out, the moment you truly let go, the impossible begins to move. You have spent so much time asking, praying, pleading, hoping, but have you ever stopped to receive? Have you ever allowed yourself to dwell in the reality that it is already done? Because the truth is, God has never withheld anything from you. He is not waiting for you to prove yourself. He is not delaying your breakthrough to test you. The moment you align yourself with faith, the moment you step fully into trust, you enter the space where miracles occur effortlessly. Trust lives in intercourse with. Think of a river flowing effortlessly towards the ocean. It does not struggle, it does not force its way, it simply flows. But if you attempt to block it, if you try to redirect its course with your own limited understanding, you create resistance. The water does not stop, it simply builds pressure. And the more you resist, the more turbulent things become. But the moment you remove the barriers, the moment you allow it to move as it was always meant to, peace is restored. This is the nature of surrender. This is the nature of faith. When you hold on to worry, when you refuse to release your burdens to God, you are standing in the way of His perfect plan. You are trying to force what was meant to unfold naturally. You are allowing fear to block what has already been given to you. But when you surrender, when you truly place it in His hands and walk away from the worry, you make room for His power to flow unhindered. And in that space, the impossible becomes reality. You have prayed for an answer, but have you created space for it to arrive? You have asked for a miracle, but are you prepared to receive it? Because faith is not simply believing, it is knowing. It is walking in the reality of what you have asked for before it even manifests. It is speaking with the authority of someone who has already seen the outcome. It is moving as if the problem has already been solved. If you truly believed that God was handling it, would you still stress? If you truly trusted that He had already made a way, would you still fear? No, you would walk with peace. You would wake up with confidence. You would rest in the assurance that all things are working in your favor. Because worry is a symptom of doubt, and doubt is what delays the blessing. The moment you step into faith, the moment you allow your heart to rest in trust, the doors that seem closed will open effortlessly. You have nothing to gain by holding on to fear, but everything to gain by surrendering. You have been carrying this weight for too long. It is not yours to carry. It was never meant for you. God has already gone before you, already prepared the way, already set the answer in motion. Your only task is to trust, to let go, to stop looking for proof and start moving in certainty. What you desire is not far from you, the healing you seek, the breakthrough you need, the answer you have been waiting for. It is already done, but you must stop wrestling with it. You must stop trying to force what is meant to flow. You must release it completely. You were created to live in peace, to walk in divine assurance, to rest in the knowledge that God has already gone before you. The battle is not yours, it is His. The solution is not something you must create, it is something you must receive. Your only task is to step out of the way, to release your grip, to allow God to do what only He can do. How many nights have you spent worrying about things that were already resolved? How many days have you allowed fear to steal your joy, only to realize later that God had it handled all along? Look back on your life. Every time you thought there was no way, He made one. Every time you felt abandoned, He was there. Every time you thought the situation was impossible, He turned it around. If He did it before, why do you doubt He will do it again? If He has always been faithful, why do you question Him now? Faith does not operate in hesitation. Faith does not negotiate with fear. Faith does not wait for evidence before believing. Faith speaks, and it is so. Faith declares, and it manifests. Faith knows that even when nothing appears to be happening, everything is happening beneath the surface. Just as a seed is buried in the ground before it breaks through the soil, so too are your prayers taking root before they manifest in your life. Just because you cannot see it does not mean it is not real. Just because it has not yet appeared does not mean it is not on its way. You must stop living as though your worries have more power than your faith. You must stop speaking as though your problems are bigger than your God. You must stop giving life to fear when you have the ability to command peace. There is power in your words. There is power in your belief. When you speak life, life comes forth. When you speak victory, victory follows. When you speak faith, miracles unfold. You cannot afford to allow doubt to take root in your mind. You cannot afford to let fear have a voice in your life. The moment you silence fear and amplify faith, you activate the supernatural. God is not distant. He is not indifferent to your struggles. He is not unaware of what you need. He has been waiting for you to step into alignment with Him. He has been waiting for you to release your attachment to outcomes, to let go of your need to control, to trust in the unseen rather than the seen. The moment you shift from worry to worship, from fear to faith, from stress to surrender, everything changes. Heaven responds. The impossible bows before you. What once seemed out of reach suddenly finds its way to you effortlessly. You have tried it your way. You have analyzed, planned, strategized, and exhausted yourself trying to make things work. But now it is time to step into a higher way, a way that does not demand struggle, a way that does not require anxiety, a way that simply asks you to believe. When you believe, you stop trying to force doors open and instead watch as they open before you. When you believe, you stop begging for what is already yours and begin to walk as if it is done. When you believe, you live with the peace that surpasses all understanding, knowing that nothing can stand in the way of what God has for you. You were not created to live in worry. You were not designed to be consumed by stress. You were meant to live in divine ease, to walk in unwavering confidence, to rest in the knowledge that everything is already handled. But you must release your grip. You must stop trying to control what was never meant to be controlled. You must step out of the way and allow God to be God. Because the moment you do, the moment you truly give it all to Him, the impossible will bow before you and you will see that it was never impossible at all. You must realize that holding on too tightly is what keeps you from receiving. The more you struggle, the more resistance you create. The more you try to figure it all out, the more you entangle yourself in confusion. But when you step back, when you release the burden, when you give it to God completely, without picking it back up, the answers come. The doors swing open. The weight lifts. There is a divine order, a sacred timing, a perfect unfolding happening in your life, and the only thing required of you is trust. Trust that what is meant for you cannot miss you. Trust that what is seeking you is already on its way. Trust that the invisible hand of God is working on your behalf in ways beyond your comprehension. You do not need to chase after what is already yours. You do not need to beg for what heaven has already assigned to you. You do not need to exhaust yourself in the pursuit of what is freely given. What you seek is seeking you. The moment you align with this truth, the moment you stop resisting and start allowing, you will see miracles unfold. Not because you forced them, but because you trust them into being. Not because you worried them into existence, but because you stood in faith, unwavering, unshaken, knowing that what God has promised is already done. Fear will tell you that surrender means weakness, but in truth, surrender is the greatest strength. It is the mind that doubts, but the spirit knows. It is the mind that fears, but the soul is at peace. The moment you shift from the limited perspective of your human understanding to the boundless vision of divine truth, you step into the miraculous. You begin to see beyond the illusion of lack. You begin to understand that what appears to be a delay is only divine preparation. You begin to recognize that nothing is ever truly lost, for in God all things are being rearranged for your highest good. Stop measuring the progress of your life by what you see with your physical eyes. Stop allowing the external world to dictate your faith. The unseen is more real than the seen. The invisible is more powerful than the visible. Every breakthrough begins in the realm of faith before it manifests in the natural. Just because you do not see movement does not mean nothing is happening. Just because you do not hear an answer does not mean heaven is silent. Everything is being orchestrated in perfect harmony, and your only task is to remain in alignment, to hold on to the truth when fear whispers lies, to stand firm in faith when doubt tries to shake you, to declare victory even before the evidence appears. You have spent too much time believing in limitations, too much time worrying about the how, too much time trying to manipulate the outcome instead of resting in the promise. But when did worry ever change anything? When did fear ever open a door? When did doubt ever bring a breakthrough? The moment you step beyond these lower states of being, the moment you rise above the illusion of struggle, you will see that you were never waiting on God. He was always waiting on you. Waiting for you to trust, waiting for you to surrender, waiting for you to let go so He could take over. Nothing is too hard for God, nothing is beyond His reach. Nothing is impossible when you step into divine partnership. The world will tell you that some things cannot be changed, but the truth is, everything is changeable. The world will tell you that your circumstances are final, but the truth is, circumstances are merely reflections of past thoughts and beliefs. The moment you shift your inner state, your external world must shift to match it. This is the law, this is the truth, this is the power you have been given. You were not meant to live in a constant state of struggle. You were not designed to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You were created to walk in divine ease, to move through life with the confidence that everything is always working for your good. But as long as you hold on to fear, as long as you try to control what is not yours to control, you block the very blessings that are meant for you. The moment you let go, the moment you give it all to God, you make space for the miraculous. You allow the impossible to become possible. You open yourself to a life of peace, joy, and effortless manifestation. Look back on your journey. Every time you thought you had reached the end, a way was made. Every time you thought it was over, a new beginning appeared. Every time you felt forgotten, you were being prepared. The same God who brought you through before will do it again. The same power that carried you then is carrying you now, but you must release your grip. You must step out of your own way. You must trust, not just with your words, but with your whole being. Worry is a habit, but so is faith. Fear is a pattern, but so is trust. The choice is yours. You can choose to live in fear, constantly chasing, constantly striving, constantly doubting, or you can choose to live in faith, resting in the assurance that everything is already done. When you choose faith, you activate a power greater than anything you could ever imagine. When you choose trust, you align yourself with the miraculous. When you choose surrender, You position yourself for the impossible to become your reality. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not need to figure it all out. You simply need to decide right now that you will no longer carry what is not yours to carry, that you will no longer allow fear to dictate your life, that you will no longer question whether God is working, because He is. And when you fully release, when you finally give it all to Him, you will see what you have been waiting for all along. Not because you forced it, not because you worried about it, but because you believed, because you trusted, because you knew that the moment you gave it to God, the impossible became inevitable. You must come to the place where your faith is so unwavering that no storm can shake you, no delay can discourage you, and no obstacle can make you doubt. This is the level where miracles happen. Not in desperation, not in striving, but in stillness, in absolute confidence, in the knowing that what is yours is already yours, that what you have asked for has already been given, and that all you need to do is stand in agreement with heaven's timing. The moment you fully let go of worry, you step into alignment with divine abundance. You step into the reality where nothing is missing, nothing is lacking, and everything you desire is unfolding exactly as it should. Many will say they trust God, yet their actions reveal otherwise. They say they believe, yet they still hold on tightly, trying to control what is beyond their grasp. They still allow doubt to creep in, still allow fear to whisper lies into their hearts. But true faith requires release. It requires you to open your hands, to unclench your grip, to surrender fully and completely. Not halfway, not with conditions, but with the kind of faith that says, even if I do not see the way, I know the way is already made. The kind of faith that refuses to be shaken even when everything in the natural seems impossible. The kind of faith that calls things that are not as though they are, that speaks life into the unseen, that declares victory before the evidence appears. Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap, yet they lack nothing. Look at the lilies of the field. They do not labor or spin, yet they are clothed in beauty beyond compare. How much more will your Father in heaven provide for you? How much more will He take care of your needs? Yet you worry, yet you fear, yet you act as though you are alone, as though you have no source, as though the weight of the world rests upon your shoulders. But you were never meant to carry it. You were never meant to strive, to struggle, to live in fear of tomorrow. The moment you hand it over, the moment you truly release every burden, you step into the life you were meant to live. A life of freedom, a life of divine flow, a life where the impossible is not just possible, it is inevitable. Think about the times in your life when you tried to force something to happen. Think about the times you pushed, you pulled, you struggled, yet nothing worked. The doors remained closed. The breakthrough seemed distant. The harder you tried, the more resistance you faced. But what happened when you finally let go? What happened when you stopped forcing and started trusting? Things shifted, doors opened. The very thing you were striving for came effortlessly. This is the divine order. This is how faith works. The moment you stop resisting and start allowing, you enter the flow of God's perfect plan. The moment you let go of the need to control, you make space for the miraculous. Nothing is impossible for the one who believes. This is not just a statement, it is a law. It is an unbreakable truth. If you believe that something is out of reach, it will remain out of reach. If you believe that something is difficult, it will be difficult. But if you believe that all things are working together for your good, if you believe that divine favor surrounds you, if you believe that every closed door is leading you to a better one, then that is exactly what you will experience. It is not about wishful thinking. It is not about empty hope. It is about knowing. Knowing that what is unseen is more real than what is seen. Knowing that what you have prayed for is already in motion. Knowing that even when nothing appears to be happening, everything is happening. How long will you allow fear to rob you of your blessings? How long will you continue to carry burdens that were never yours to carry? How long will you let doubt steal your peace? You must decide. You must choose. You must make up your mind that from this moment forward you will walk in unwavering faith, that you will release every worry, every fear, every doubt, and place it all in the hands of the one who holds all things together. And the moment you do, you will feel the shift. The moment you truly surrender, you will witness doors open effortlessly. The moment you give it to God, you will see the impossible become reality. Let this be the moment you stop striving. Let this be the moment you release every burden. Let this be the moment you choose faith over fear, trust over doubt, peace over worry. Because the truth is, it was never about you figuring it all out. It was never about you making it happen. It was always about your willingness to trust, your willingness to believe, your willingness to let go and allow God to move in ways you never imagined. And when you finally do, when you step into that level of trust, you will not have to chase what is already yours. It will come to you. It will find you, and it will be greater than you ever dreamed. You must understand that the very act of surrender is not weakness. It is the greatest strength. It is the confidence that your Creator has already orchestrated every detail of your life. The struggle is not in waiting, but in your resistance to trust. Your mind, conditioned by the world, has been taught to fear lack, to chase outcomes, to fight for control. But you were never meant to live in a constant state of striving. When you fully give it to God, when you lay it down without picking it up again, you shift into divine ease. The reason many remain in cycles of frustration is that they pray but do not believe. They speak words of faith but entertain thoughts of doubt. They ask for a breakthrough but continue to hold on to past disappointments. But faith demands a full commitment. It demands that you walk as if it is already done, that you speak as if you have already received, that you move as though the door has already been opened. This is where transformation takes place. The moment you no longer look at the world around you for confirmation, but instead hold steadfast to the unseen truth, miracles become inevitable. God does not delay. It is not a matter of if, but when, and the timing is always perfect. What you call a delay is actually preparation. What you see as a setback is divine alignment. When you surrender to God's timing, you step into a reality where everything is working in your favor. The very thing that seemed impossible begins to unfold effortlessly. You do not have to figure out the how. You do not need to chase, force, or strive. The moment you give it over to God, the weight is lifted, the way is cleared, and what was once beyond reach becomes yours. The mind will always seek evidence before it believes. It wants proof. It wants to see results before it lets go of fear. But faith does not work that way. Faith moves before there is proof. Faith walks before the path is visible. Faith speaks before the manifestation. And this is why few truly experience the power of God, because they refuse to believe beyond what they can see. But the unseen is where the power is. As the unseen is where creation happens. The unseen is where what you have prayed for is already finished. You must stop looking at circumstances as truth. You must stop measuring your faith by what your eyes perceive, because what is visible now is simply a reflection of past thoughts, past fears, past beliefs. But the moment you shift, the moment you stand firm in faith and refuse to waver, the entire course of your life changes. You are not waiting on God. God is waiting on you, waiting for you to stop doubting, waiting for you to stop looking at lack, waiting for you to stop worrying, because the moment you truly let go, He moves. The moment you step aside, the impossible is made possible. Look at the stories of faith throughout time. Every miracle, every breakthrough, every manifestation was preceded by absolute trust. It was never by effort, never by struggle, never by fear, but by faith. The walls of Jericho fell not by force, but by obedience. The Red Sea parted not by logic, but by divine command. The sick were healed, the blind received sight, the dead were raised, not because of striving, but because of faith. The same God who performed miracles then is the same God who moves today. Nothing has changed except the willingness of people to believe. You must get to the place where doubt is no longer an option, where fear has no space in your mind, where worry is foreign to your spirit. And the only way to get there is to train yourself in faith, to speak life no matter what, to declare victory before the battle is won,